welcome. This is Charlie from Guitar Music Academy and Recording, and I'm sitting here with Gavroche, and we're here to do a listen to and interview on his new album. So thanks for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So a quick background, he and I have worked together for many years now. Do you know how long it's been?
I want to say, I think 7 years.
7 years. Okay, so that would put it like 2016. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So we first met because I was his guitar teacher, and he has since become a respected musician in his own right on both guitar and piano, as a current student at UCLA, in addition to working as your teacher, that we've also been bandmates together in musical theater productions and worked on transcriptions and a whole wide variety of different musical experiences that we've had. And I'm super excited to sit down and listen to and react to this album together. Before we push play, though, can you just give us a bit of a background on what the record is and just to sort of set the stage for listeners? This isn't, it's not like a musical style soundtrack, but it's also a bit more than the traditional definition of a concept album. So in your own words, what are we about to listen to?
Right. So I started writing this last year, so like January through June 2021-ish. And I wrote it, and the songs kind of fit together. I wrote it to kind of form one cohesive story throughout all the songs. And because of that, because it's kind of like musical theater-esque a little bit.
And by that, you just mean that there is a thread that connects the songs. Maybe a story, maybe not, but there's some connective tissue between these pieces.
Right, yeah. And there is a story. And because of that, I feel like I do a lot of genre hopping, because it feels like I'm not like an artist trying to cater to a certain genre. It's more that like the genre becomes a tool to kind of convey like the vibe and what's going on in the story. So yeah, a lot of different genres.
And that's somewhat natural for you, because in addition to being a multi-instrumentalist, you also play every genre imaginable. You know, it's a lot of rock, it's pop, film scores, classical music, jazz. I'm sure we've done some Latin music at some point.
Oh, definitely.
So in writing this music, you were able, I'm guessing, to pull on all of those experiences together. And as you mentioned, the genre and the style is a tool to best express the story element in the moment. Is that a fair description?
Yeah. When you have Charlie as a music teacher, you learn all the genres, and you can use that to your advantage.
There you go. You heard it from him himself. Okay, so right before we get started, I just want to let you know where you can find this music. So Gavroche's music is available on Spotify right now. This album we're about to listen to is called The Spiders Marathon, and go check the music out. Okay, here we go. We're going to open with the first tune. This is the prelude, and once we start the record, we're just going to let it play through. Nice major 3 chord there.
Thank you.
And is that a minor 4 you went to there?
No, a major 4.
A major 4, okay. Love the piano arpeggios. So we have the really fast piano moving arpeggios and then those kind of sweeping strings on top.
Horns right now.
Oh, horns, okay.
Yeah.
It just sounds like orchestral and grand.
Yeah.
So right now we're hearing a female vocalist. Is that the instrumentation throughout the entire record, is a single vocalist?
Yeah, or a lead vocalist with harmonies for some of the songs, but yeah, mostly just a lead vocalist.
Sounds incredible.
Thank you.
I love this part here. It reminds me of a music box, that you take the theme that you just introduced in the voice and then you put on piano super high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice harmonies. So how did you come up with the harmonies? Did you write them out, or did you have some suggestions when you were recording with the singer?
Sorry, so the vocalist is just doing octave harmonies, except for here, these are some really jazzy chords if you actually like write them out, that the harmonies are doing. And yeah, a lot of it was her input actually for this last bit. Just whatever harmonies seem natural to her, like as we were recording.
Some really nice suspensions there. It sounds to me like, I'm not sure exactly what the chord is without checking it, but like it's against a one chord, but you're playing the second scale degree, and then you resolve it after the chord changes.
Right. Yeah, that whole bit is it alternates between the half diminished second and the root.
Okay. And here we are with the second tune. So now we've gone into I Want, and we have some steel string guitar.
Yes. And a lot of the guitar in this song was me trying to figure out how to play a melody and chords at the same time without it like sounding awkward. So it's a lot of like open strings playing the notes in the chord, and then the melody playing like harmonies in the chord, like the third.
I just love the chord choices on this one. The harmony is so great. So there's a part coming up here. I want to ask what's going on. It goes something goes minor. It's like a non-diatonic chord tone or something. Right there. Well, what's going on there?
Oh yeah, so the song is in the key of D major, and that is an F natural.
Oh, okay.
So for a second there, we go to the minor third of the.
So you're kind of going to the parallel minor. You're going from D major to D minor.
Yeah.
I like that you do that because it happens so infrequently in music, and up to this point, I use it's a Partridge Family song to talk about it, and it's called what is it called? I Think I Love You. To show that within one song go major and minor, and now I can say I Want is the new song for illustrating that concept. Love this sound right here. So
this part is actually inspired by Bach.
Okay.
His piece, Sheep May Safely Graze, is like the colloquial name, one that I've played for you before.
Yep.
So in that piece, the song is mostly in the key of B flat major, and then modulates to C minor, so like a half step up in minor.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, this song was in D and then modulates up to E minor.
And that one at the end did sound to me like a major 4 going to a minor 4. Is that what you did there? Did you go G to G minor?
Yeah.
I love that sound. You're using some of my favorite chord tropes. The major 4 to the minor 4, the major 3 chord coming from the 1 chord. This one has such a almost like, it's interesting to hear that it's inspired by Bach because it sounds like Celtic or Irish to me.
Right, yeah, it is like a folk tune, what I was going for, because it's all about like running away to the forest and like being by yourself or whatever, and I felt like that fit like the vibe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's that kind of the kind of constant like down picking sort of vibe that keeps that energy building. So there's some electric guitar in here. So which guitars did you use for recording this part, for this song?
I used an acoustic guitar and I used an ES guitar for the electric feel.
Is that the Gibson?
Yeah.
What was the acoustic? Do you remember, or was it just whatever was?
It's the acoustic I use. I honestly couldn't tell you like what brand.
The one you used for Rent?
No, it's one I got for my LA gigging.
Okay. See, that's what I like when musicians just play the instruments. I'm not a gearhead at all. I know so little. I know how to play it. I don't know all the details, and I find it refreshing when you just pick it up and play it and make it sound great. And wow, what a dramatic change here as we go into the Butterflies Sonata. I'm getting sort of Debussy vibes on this one.
Yeah.
Or Chopin, maybe.
Yeah, I was going for Chopin.
So how did you come up with the title for this specific piece?
Well, I just kind of wrote it in sonata form. So
that was my question. Is it in sonata form?
It is in
okay,
sonata form.
I didn't want to call you out if it wasn't.
Yeah, it's in sonata form, and because of what's going on in the story that I like to be cryptic about for some reason, so I'm not going to elaborate too much on that.
Fair enough.
It's about the feeling of having butterflies and kind of the different stages of that, or the 3 stages of sonata form.
Oh, okay. All right, it's very creative. So, is this entirely instrumental? This piece?
Yeah, it's all solo piano.
And was that a choice you made intentionally, or as you were writing, did you discover that just this piece functioned better without voice?
I kind of wrote it for solo piano. I wrote it like a Chopin etude, where Chopin has a lot of etudes where he like sticks to one harmony, like thirds or sixths or something throughout the whole thing. And a lot of the right hand for this piece is tritones, except for this middle section, but the beginning and the recapitulation, the right hand is mostly tritones. So normally it sounds really dissonant, but I feel like in certain settings it has like a really like hauntingly beautiful tone to it. So that's what I try to kind of capitalize on there.
Ever since I started studying jazz, I no longer think any chords are dissonant. I feel like any chord can be perfect, it can be consonant, it can be beautiful if it's used the right way. And one of the biggest challenges I have is when someone tells me to just, play something dissonant, play something sour. I'm like, but they all sound good.
Yeah.
If you hear it the right way. Yeah. So one of the things I really appreciate about your songwriting on this one is because you're trying to pay homage to that Chopin style, you are... That's transferring over to your choices in harmony too. You're not using any of the pop motifs like the minor 4, the major 3, any of that stuff that sounds so cool with rock or pop, because that's not stylistically appropriate for this kind of music. So it gives it an air of authenticity. Yeah,
I mean the middle section is kind of like a switch between the major 1 and then the major 3, but a lot of like the specific harmonies, arpeggios, or whatever, are all Chopin inspired, so it doesn't really sound like it.
Is that a 2 to a 1? Like a sus 2 to a 1?
Yeah, or like an add 9.
Add 9, yeah.
The full chord is a major 9, but yeah.
So we are on Water right now. This is the 4th track on the record. I mean this in the best way. Those are some weird chords. So, do you remember the chord progression there? Da 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 da.
It's major 3, so we're in the key of E now, and that's G sharp major.
Okay.
And then it goes down to an A7, and then resolves.
Okay, so it goes to a dominant 4 chord.
Yeah.
And then does it go back to E after that?
Yeah.
So that's very bluesy.
Yeah, it is. And especially during that bridge, I know I don't want you to go, there, instead of going from G sharp, you do a G natural, so a minor, so that's
but on
very
the 1
bluesy.
chord though, so that's so were you envisioning that as being a motif because you've used that technique before? Are we supposed to hear that and go back to that earlier point in the record where you've used that technique?
No.
Next time someone asks, you can say yes. Yes, that's exactly what
it's like Sondheim.
Yeah.
The same motif over and over.
So you've mentioned both to me, just talking and also earlier during this interview, that you're a little bit cryptic about the story.
Yes.
Did you give your vocalist any additional background so that she could sing this with the right character or emotion, or is she also just interpreting the text however she, feels?
I kept her in the dark too. When we were recording the vocals, I just had like a Google Doc with all the lyrics, and I was like, these are your lyrics, sing them. And I did not elaborate. so yeah, she's in the dark, but she killed it considering she didn't know.
And that's why I asked, because it sounds incredible. Her performance, her delivery, every aspect of this sounds like it's the perfect complement to the music. And I was wondering if that's just a reflection of her musicianship and musicality, or if you're giving her information that you're withholding from the public.
No. It's 100% her.
I like this nice long guitar solo. All that reverb sort of gives me like surf vibes a little bit.
Yeah. I was going for like an indie.
I mean, it's called
indie-ish.
Water, so I guess that makes sense.
And this is also Bach inspired because it's like it's kind of like Bourrée-ish.
Okay. Bourrée in E minor from the Lute Suite is what you're referring to for people listening.
Yeah, and like using harmonies between like non-adjacent strings rather than doing chords or.
Yeah, I could hear those. What are they? Sixths?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Very cool sound. And I love how the drums are kind of going bop, 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 sort of a quarter feel there. It just gives it some extra energy and attitude. Ooh, getting busy now.
Yeah. It's all because my friend was like, your drums are too simple in your song. So I decided to go hard for that ending.
Love it. So many of the best stories from the Beatles about how they made choices songwriting are because someone made some offhand comment sort of criticizing their music, and they had to do the opposite just to prove them wrong. Okay, so now we are on the track. Wow, what an intro.
Dissonance.
That the record's named for. This is the Spiders Marathon.
And it's me singing.
Sounds great. Is that a little bit of distortion on your voice?
Yeah, it's got some filters on it to hide my vocal shortcomings.
Oh, no, it sounds great. There's an attitude there. It's almost like kind of a punk or like a Green Day, American Idiot attitude in your vocal performance.
Yeah, it's the reason why the vocalist for the other tracks didn't do this one is because it's kind of got that like Broadway-ish, like a bit of attitude, like it's a bit of like acting and singing or like talk singing, and that's not something that you get in like pop genres a lot. So, and it's something that I'm pretty familiar with being brought up on Broadway, basically. So, I cover this one.
It sounds great.
Thank you.
I love that the chord progression is so traditional in moments, right? It's like 1-4, 1-5, and then you just hit us with something wild.
Yeah.
Oh, that part there. Those tritones just swing back and forth.
Right.
Oh.
Tension.
Yeah, some cymbal. Wow.
Polyrhythms too. It's
yeah.
too against it.
So whenever I record my own vocals, I have to do like a million takes because I'm never happy with it. And then usually the one I settle on was like the first or second take.
Yeah.
How did you feel recording? Because you recorded the vocals this yourself, right?
Absolutely. I went in my closet where I felt like the sound quality would be best, and I used my phone.
Yeah.
And I did 2 takes, beginning to end, both of them, and that's what I used.
Did you say you used your phone?
I used my phone.
To do what?
To record the vocals.
This is your phone?
This is my phone.
That's amazing. Is that is that part of why the filter's on there?
Not really. The filter was just because I'm not a good
I
vocalist.
would never have guessed that. That sounds so cool. And now we're on the entr'acte. Is that one single take there? Like that's not a double-tracked guitar. It's you playing both lines simultaneously.
Yeah. Also Bach-ish. Like
yeah, I hear it.
Jesu-ish.
I love that all of these musical elements and influences made an appearance in your music.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, actually, I'm going to change this subject because there's something I want to say on the last song. This really reminds me of the Beatles a lot.
Yeah, that's funny. I was gonna say it's like Bach with like minor blues influence,
Yeah.
which is basically just Blackbird by the Beatles.
Yeah, I was also thinking this is Paul McCartney's solo. This isn't him with the Beatles, but Live and Let Die. I kind of get vibes on that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking a bit ago about how you amazingly recorded this on your phone, and it sounds incredible. Can you tell us just a little bit about your recording process for the rest of the record?
Guitar, basically my electric instruments were just plugged directly into a...
So give us as many details as you want about what kind of guitars you're using, because there's a couple different guitars on the record, right?
Yeah, so this one is my Telecaster, my
featured
signature
on
model.
on your artist photo.
Absolutely, one I built myself. And other than that's the main electric guitar I use, and then I also use my acoustic and then my ES when I want something that's kind of in between the two.
And is it always direct in? Or?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And so what interface were you using?
Scarlett Solo 3rd gen.
Nice. And what about the microphone? So obviously you already told us you used your cell phone. But for the female vocalist, do you have an actual mic?
Yeah, she had a Neumann mic.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so now we're on the next track. This is On the Floor.
On the Floor.
Every song is so different from the last one.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get comfortable because every time you settle into a song, it's like the next one like forces you to pay attention again. What a nice, cool combination of this almost like kind of like late 19th century sort of like ragtime or circus vibe, and then the electric guitar, and now it's like a big band piece with the hi-hat.
Yeah, it's very jazzy.
And that cool horn intro. So that's the other thing is, so the guitar is all actual guitar, and obviously you have vocalists on this one, on the record, but every other instrument is MIDI, right?
Absolutely, and I didn't spend a cent on plugins or anything like that. So I feel like this album is like an interesting case study that like you really don't need like much like money or resources to make albums like this with like huge orchestras and a wide range of instruments, because it's all MIDI and you can make it sound pretty decent, I think.
Yeah, no, this sounds great. Excellent production quality. And this sounds awesome on its own. But let's say you wanted to take it to that next level someday. Let's get if this were to get picked up by like a big company or something, this could serve as a blueprint to go in and then record like, okay, whatever, this producer really wants actual horns. That's fine, some people want that. But now you have this record like, okay, this is how it goes. The last major recording project I worked on, it was the same approach that you took. It was almost all MIDI with real vocalists. The only difference is I had a drummer. I didn't bring a drummer into my recording space, but I just went on Fiverr and I found a drummer who I paid to record. But this sounds excellent. You can do it all yourself these days, and that's what I love about recording music nowadays. Is you're not at the mercy of someone else. You can do it.
Absolutely.
You're only held back by your own creativity.
Yeah.
So awesome guitar solo that we just got to hear, and it's such an excellent blend of dissonance and consonance. Like way more dissonant than your average music that you might listen to, especially if you're mostly listening to pop and rock and stuff. But it's just wonderful the way you resolve everything.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really like self-righteous about having very dissonant music, like very condescending about it.
So that was On the Floor that we just finished, and now we're on to our next piece, which is SAE. Would you like to give us a bit of background on the name for this one?
I like to be cryptic, but I will say SAE is the name of a frat house at UCLA.
Feel next to no shame, every day is the same. Still though, can't complain cause I am to blame. All of life is in vain till you post a pre-game. Find a joy in the life of pleasure and pain.
So the beginning of this, was that also you on vocals? Or are you only on that other piece that we listened to?
I'm only on the other
Okay.
one. This is all the other vocalists.
So that was her then at the beginning.
Yes.
Wow, that's impressive that she was able to do that kind of like thrashing sound. It sounded incredible.
Absolutely. And she doesn't typically do like rock or anything. She mostly sticks to pop. So the fact that she was able to pull this off and go like full like Avril Lavigne like punk rock voice, it's super cool.
That sounds great. This is a heavy one.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed by every aspect of her performance, but her range is so low on this song. And I see we've gone back to the cool filter. I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked about the equipment you recorded on. You've got a couple of guitars. You've got a Telecaster that you custom built. You've got your Gibson ES, acoustic steel string. Everything else is MIDI. You're using the Scarlett for your interface. What audio recording program would you use for this?
I use Cubase.
Cubase.
Yeah.
Nice, okay. Just had to enjoy that guitar solo.
Yeah.
And the orchestral big end. So it was like such a like hard rock moment. And now we have these orchestral strings.
Pipe organ, strings, horns.
So one question I wanted to ask you, and I think I'm getting, after listening to this part of the song, I might be able to answer my own question, but I was going to ask if you have any either plans or aspirations to one day give a live performance of any of this music. Now, some of it you could do easily, but that one would be...
Yeah,
it would have a lot of challenges.
Definitely didn't write these to be performed live. I felt like there just like wasn't a point because I didn't like have any plans to record them live, and I feel like I would have at the end of the day had to limit like the instruments that I wanted to use. So yeah, I feel you could probably pull off like a band, like rock band arrangement of that.
But also with these days musical theater, if you put 1, 2, maybe even 3 keyboards in a pit, you can play anything. Mm-hmm. 3 keyboards in a rock band, you can play anything. So we are on Wake Waltz. This is the penultimate song on the record. Anything you'd like to share with us on this one?
It's inspired by Chopin.
2 Chopin. That's impressive.
There's a couple.
Oh, a couple
like
others still?
The preludes and stuff. Every song on this album is tied to a classical piece in some way. But this one's inspired by his waltzes in minor keys. Mm-hmm. And I also really like choir, so this is a choir song too.
So what I love about the titles of these pieces, you open with a prelude. Mm-hmm. That's both classical but also musical theater.
Yeah.
And then you have one piece that's named for a sonata. The fact that you named one of the songs Water, that just sounds like an impressionist piece. You have an entr'acte, you have a waltz, and then of course the next tune we're going to hear is the actual finale. So it's just those, I've said this so many times now, but all those influences are really showing themselves in your music. Mm-hmm. So choir here, is this MIDI choir or is this?
Yes, MIDI choir.
Wow. In all MIDI, 100% for the vocals on this part here. Mm-hmm. One technique I've seen that some Broadway touring pits do is they have MIDI for most of it, but then they put in like 1 or 2 real instruments because we hear that like human error basically, and it tricks us into thinking the whole thing is real. But I think this sounds pretty realistic, so that's why I was wondering if there was any human voice on there. But that sounds excellent. Way to go, Cubase. Okay, so the harmonies on this one, you have to tell us a little bit about that because they're beautiful, but they're haunting and they're so complex. What's going on?
Yes. Once again, tritones. And then I feel like our brains kind of separate out. I wrote this at the end of the day to be intuitive enough where a vocalist could sing it like in a choir. So there's some dissonance going on where if you just look at the melody line and the specific vocal line, like it's intuitive and makes sense, but when in context with like the piano and like the underlying chords, that's where the dissonance is. It's not like the voices aren't always dissonant within themselves, but sometimes they're doing their own thing that's different from what the piano's doing.
Yeah. What a beautiful piece. I like that in your approach to recording this, you just sort of wrote what the song needed. You didn't put any limitations on yourself. And by that, I mean, like, the last musical I worked on, I initially set out to make sure it could be played by a specific type of pit orchestra. And then I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Just, like, write the songs. And then, like, if you ever need people to play it, figure it out then. But just don't inhibit your own songwriting and creativity. If you have all these tools at your disposal, all these instruments, a full orchestra, a full rock band, use it all.
Yeah. And like it's good to, I feel like, practice all the different skills, because writing for brass is different than writing for strings. And like writing for choir is like its own thing, because you have to take into account the ranges of each of the different like vocal types, and that's something that's probably way more useful than I think a lot of people give it credit for, because like in musical theater there's always the ensemble, and you can really tell when like the ensemble has like really good like harmonies and choral parts.
Yeah. Speaking of writing for various instruments, would you like to take this moment to give yourself a little push on MuseScore and send some people over to your profile for a recent project you may have worked on?
Absolutely. So I recently transcribed a piece from the video game Cuphead. The piece is called One Hell of a Time. My MuseScore username is G Mosley, Mosley 5728. So G Mosley 5728. One Hell of a Time from Cuphead. It's a solo piano arrangement of a big band jazz piece. So go check it out. Thank you.
Extremely difficult to play, but sounds incredible. All right, so we are on the finale now, titled Goodbye, fittingly. It's interesting that at least this part of the song is so like gentle and relaxed, because we've had just this wild roller coaster of emotions and energy levels and intensity, and at the end of all this, it's almost like it's ending in peace.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. That's why it goes from like SAE, which is dissonant, high energy, it's loud, rock, electric guitar, and then straight to the opposite end of the spectrum with Wake Waltz, which is super quiet, piano, choir, like relaxing music. And now we're finding the middle ground, and that's gonna be the ending.
So when the two of you sat down to record vocals, is this one of the moments where she offered some input on the harmonies, or did you come into recording with a pretty clear idea of what you wanted?
I had written the harmonies for this beforehand. What's cool though is I wrote the harmonies so that the lower harmony is actually the main melody line, and then the higher harmony is kind of quiet, more subdued in the background. And that really works because with our vocalist here, she really prides herself on being an alto and having like a lower range more than a higher range, so it worked out perfectly with our vocalist.
Yeah. And here we have the motif coming back.
The prelude.
Yes, from the prelude. There we go. Big hitting. Yeah, the first time I listened to this, I remember I was kind of on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
And here we get that same motif or that same motive, but whereas the first time when we heard the instrumental version, it was that part that I said sounded almost like a music box, like really high piano, and now we hear the orchestral version with the timpani and the big sweeping strings.
Da, 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 da. That's the Wake Waltz too.
Oh, look at that. You've Les Mis'd it.
Yeah.
One day more. Or Christmas bells it, depending on your audience. The glockenspiel really adds something nice to
Oh
that.
yeah, that's my favorite instrument on this entire record.
Mhm.
Water and now this. It's all about the Glock.
This could be a film score. This could be the end of... This is just such a big, beautiful moment.
And that electric guitar is finishing the line that was left unresolved in what's it called? In I Want. Because it
Okay.
finishes with, and I swear I'm going where I... And then the guitar does the belong.
Finally. You made him wait quite a while on that one, but you did give it to him.
Yeah.
And then we hear the guitar close us off.
Yep.
And that's the record. Well, again, this is from Gavroche. This is the Spiders Marathon, available right now on Spotify. Go listen to it. Go check it out. And thank you for sitting down today, talking through your record. This is your first major recording project or major writing project, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it sounds awesome. And I can't wait to see both sort of what happens with this, because while it completely works as its own isolated piece, it also has a potential where it could evolve in so many different ways, but also you have other projects in mind, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Would you like to, is anything developed enough where you'd like to give us a sneak peek of what we might expect to see from you in the future?
I'm writing a musical
He's writing a musical.
with songs and scenes and just talking, the whole musical thing.
Nice. Well, you heard about it here first. I can say from experience that it's almost a waste of time to talk about timelines when it comes to writing.
Yeah.
But do you have any kind of timeline for us right now on to when you think we might see something like a workshop or hear some demos?
Well, I'm gonna be moving up to LA shortly for my second year of college up at UCLA, and at that point, I won't be able to like record any music or anything because my whole setup's here at home. So I'm gonna take this whole next school year to write, and I expect to be pretty close to done by the time I get back. So I'm gonna come back next summer and just start recording and getting it all figured out then.
Well, can I give you one bit of advice from personal experience?
Yes.
I would say what helps me, start booking people now for like August. Book musicians, because when I start setting dates for myself, I have to finish it by that point, and that's what motivates me. Maybe you're different, but I'm the kind of person who needs an external deadline to get that done.
Yeah, deadlines are a beautiful thing.
Well, again, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Go check out the Spiders Marathon on Spotify.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone.